everybody, all the honorable members.
Recording in progress.
Of Public Enterprises, the Deputy Minister, and the team, officials, including the support staff. Welcome all of you honorable members in this first official meeting of the Portfolio Committee for the Public Enterprise. Because of time and the fact that we are meeting for the first one, I won't be able to say a lot of things, but just to indicate that we will be getting a briefing by the Department of Public Enterprises on progress made in addressing the audit findings of the Auditor-General on the department and state-owned companies, and we'll also get an update on the shareholder management bill and responses to the budget vote, the BRRR recommendation, and then thereafter, honorable members, as usual, will have to engage the presentation. Can we go straight to the Deputy Minister? I did receive the apology of the Minister that he has to attend to a very urgent matter in the department together with the acting DG. I think, Tisang, unless you have other apologies with you.
Good morning, Chair, honorable members.
Tisang.
The Deputy Minister and guests, Honorable Carol Piri, who is, I'm experiencing load shedding. You can continue.
Okay. So right. Let's go. Let's leave Tisang. We will get that perhaps his electricity will be back by 10 o'clock. He will be much more better thereafter. Let's quickly go. I'm also load shedding. I hope I am clear, honorable members. Let me go to the Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Greetings to the honorable members of the committee. Indeed, we do experience these disruptions, particularly to the network, given the challenges that a government in its entirety is seized to try and get us really into a better state. Apologies for that sincerely, Chair. And then for purposes of today, the feedback to the Honorable Committee, I am adding to the apology of Minister Godan and the Acting Director General. There is also another meeting, sitting a disaster management meeting that is sitting to which the DDG Makobe would have come here, is in attendance in that meeting. I am accompanied in this meeting by the Acting Deputy Director General for Transport, Naidu, as well as Acting CFO Edwin Bessa. Between the two of them, they will lead us in the presentation that has been prepared for this purpose. With your permission, Chair, can I hand over to them so that they walk the committee through this, whereafter the committee may then satisfy itself on the kind of progress by way of questions, on progress in respect of some of the findings, how we have responded to them and how we have instituted measures to ensure that we don't experience the recurrence of such going forward. So without much ado, Chair, if I could ask the department to flight and present what has been prepared. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Okay. Can the Yeah, when the department comes.
Yes, thank you very much, Deputy Minister. Good morning, members. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, colleagues. I hope that you're able to see the presentation.
But we can see it's clear screen.
Are you able to see it? Does it show?
Yes, it's showing, Edwin. Thank you.
All right. No, thank you very much. Yes, so I'll go through the presentation addressing the audit findings for DPE, as well as the SOC, the shareholder management bill, how far we are, as well as the BRRR recommendation. With regard to the audit, the outcome of the budget vote, we did send a response in writing about September, where we addressed some of the questions that were raised about the budget vote. So it's not covered in this presentation. I hope that is okay, Chair. So these are the topics that will be covered in the presentation. Progress made in addressing the DPE's audit findings, progress made in addressing the SOC audit findings, update on the SOE shareholder management bill, as well as the budgetary review and recommendations reports. With regards to the DPE audit findings for 2021-2022, the department continued to maintain a sound governance and compliance framework on how it utilizes the resources. The department obtained a qualified audit opinion with findings in the 21-22 financial year. The predetermined objectives were some of the areas where we had findings, in that the auditors found out that there was one material misstatement in the performance information that was provided with regard to program 3, and it was subsequently corrected. And then there was also a finding on the annual financial statements. When we submitted the annual financial statements, there was one transaction which was not entered correctly, and the auditors then pointed it out, and then we subsequently corrected it. And therefore, for that, we didn't get a qualified audit opinion, but however, it was remained as an audit finding. And then there was also a procurement issue where we awarded a bid to a bidder without following the evaluation criteria. And so the auditors picked that up. We then had to concede that yes, it was a finding, and therefore it did affect the audit opinion. Then this diagram just shows how we've progressed over the years from 2015 to 2015-16 to 2021-22. In 2015-16, we had unqualified audit. However, there was some finding. Then the following 3 years, we had no findings, and it was unqualified. And in the last 3 years, we had unqualified. However, there were some findings. So that's how we progress. So the aim is to try and get unqualified with no findings. And then in the audit for 2021-22, these were the areas where we had findings. So in financial management, we had 8 findings, of which 7 have been addressed, and we still have to address 1. In financial assistance and investment support, we had 3 findings. We have addressed 2. Strategic planning, monitoring, and evaluation, we had 3. We've addressed 1. In the office of the DG, we have addressed all the findings. There were 2. Information management, there were 7. We addressed 6. Supply chain management, there are 7. We've only addressed 1. We still have to address 6. And then in human resources, there were 4 findings, and we addressed 2. So overall, we've addressed 65% of the findings. So we still have to address 35, which we'll try and address in this quarter. And then when we come to the addressing the SOC audit findings, 2021-22, this is the picture over the years from 2017-18 to 2021-22. With Alexco, it was unqualified, then qualified the following year, disclaimer in the following year, qualified, and then the 2021-22 has not yet been audited. For Dineo, there was disclaimer of opinion in the first 3 years, and then the last two, they are currently auditing. ESCOM had qualified opinion in the last 5 years. SAA 1 year, it was unqualified opinion, and then they are busy with the audit of the last 4 years, and we expect them to finish the audit by 31st of March 2023. SAFCO, that unqualified opinion, the qualified opinion, and then the last 3 years, that unqualified opinion. With Transnet, that unqualified in the first 4 years, or qualified in the first 4 years, and then unqualified in the last year. And then we got deeper into each of the audit reports. With ESCOM, they received a qualified opinion in 2021-22, and the basis of the qualification was that there was non-compliance with the PFMA in relation to irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure, as well as losses due to criminal conduct. Then material uncertainty relating to ESCOM's ability to continue as a going concern. I think they have a huge debt on their balance sheet, and that is affecting the going concern. Irregular expenditure increased from 59% to 71%, and then progress in obtaining condemnation for the irregular expenditure remains low, and this is affecting clearing of those irregular expenditures. And then fruitless and wasteful expenditure increased from 17 million to 4.9 billion in 2021-22. With SAFCO, there are three progressive and conservative unqualified audit opinion, and there were no material findings in the audit. External auditors, however, identified findings in compliance with specific matters related to legislation and post-waste management. And this is due to investigation not being done by SAFCO. And then for irregular expenditure, it increased from 60 million to 800 million due to non-compliance with the supply chain management policy. And SAFCO had no condemnation of irregular expenditure over the last 2 years, and this has distorted the picture of irregular expenditure. Fruitless and wasteful expenditure increased to 19,000. For Transnet, they received unqualified audit opinion for the first time after 5 years. This was mainly because they have got an exemption for PFMA in the last 3 years, so they don't have to report on the irregular expenditure that happened in the last years. And this gives them time to try and clean up all the irregular expenditure before they have to report it again in 2024. The auditors have identified findings in the Transnet's compliance with legislation. They also found effective and appropriate steps are not taken to prevent irregular expenditure for 1.1 billion. It was highlighted that this investigation related to the state capture report, which are ongoing, and Transnet also received 2 reports from the Auditor-General with regard to how they raised the 80 billion commercial paper under the domestic medium-term note and commercial paper program. For Alexco, Dineo, and SAA, the audit is still in progress. For Alexco, 2021 has not yet commenced. The appointment of the auditor is still awaiting concurrence from the Auditor-General. As you are aware, when the Auditor-General is not able to do an audit for a SOC, they allow the SOC to use another external auditor who has to get approved by the Auditor-General. So in this case, the Auditor-General has not given the go-ahead for the audit for Alexco to proceed with the audit. Then for SAA, the audit is in progress for 2018-19 up to 21-22. And then for Dineo, it hasn't been able to undertake audit in the last 2 years due to liquidity challenges. However, this is also having an impact on the debt that has been on the journal debt forfeiting, because it requires that annual reports are submitted and released timely. And then these are the audit finding for all the SOCs and how they've addressed it. So SAFCO had 72 audit findings and they've addressed all of them. And Transnet had 1,331 findings and they've addressed 76 findings. Then for the DNL, SAA, Alexo, and ESCO, they have not addressed them because the audit for 21-22 has not yet been completed. Well, for ESCOM, it has been completed, but it was only completed in December 2022. So they yet have to report on how they progress with the audit findings. So in conclusion, the going concern risk and the compliance with the provision of the PFM are the most common hurdles in the DPE SOCs in improving the audit findings. The government support, mainly in the form of capital injection and strategic direction, is critical to turn around these SOCs. And SOCs also have to focus on improving their respective control environment to ensure that the PFM requirements are there to avoid repeat findings. And then with the shareholder management bill, the department has drafted the National State Enterprise Bill. The objective is to provide a mechanism for the state to enhance the operational efficiency of state enterprises in order to achieve the state developmental objectives, to ensure uniform governance of state enterprises, and to promote commercial sustainability of state enterprises. And to this end, the bill will address the issue, amongst others, the role and function and duties of the board, the composition of the board, the committees of the board, the standards for director conduct, audit of holding company, national strategy for state enterprises, as well as the shareholder powers and duties. The bill will be taken through the process of consultation with relevant stakeholders, and then the consultation has already commenced. Then the last one is the progress on implementing the BRRR recommendations. So there are quite a number. One of the findings, one of the recommendations was the shareholder management and governance. In relation to the shareholder compact, the department planned to sign 6 compacts to date. No shareholder compact has been signed. However, the process is in progress to try and sign those before the end of the year. Then improve internal control systems. We received unqualified audit outcome system and controls have improved. Annual financial statement submission. This matter is emphasized, which mainly relates to misstatement of submitting financial statement and not complying fully to procurement process are noted and will address them going forward. Then addressing the audit findings, the department normally gets monitors the implementation of the audit findings for the state-owned companies. We receive the reports twice in a year, and we go through them and then see what progress is being made and what correction measures are being taken. Then improving capacity of the board audit and risk committee. And this is being done in line with the Companies Act, the MOI, the PFMA, and each associate must have an audit and risk committee in place that reports the audit performance and outcome to the shareholder. Instituting process management for executive and management, we have identified 73 cases of director delinquencies. Complaints to the launch of the director delinquency proceedings against the former board members are planned and to be registered with the CIPC the 31st March of 2023. And then with regards to the lifestyle audit, 5,299 employees were subjected to the lifestyle audit. 63 cases of conflict of interest was identified in relation to the award of procurement contracts, and these are under investigations. And consultation underway with the DPSA with a view to extend the financial interest disclosure capabilities to SOC under the DPE portfolio. With regard to the shareholder management bill, the department has drafted the bill, and objective is to provide the mechanism for state to manage the SOCs. And then with regards to strategic equity partners and plans, oversight plans for SAA, the guideline for SCP will be developed in this financial year, and then will be consultation with the stakeholders, including PIC, Telecom, and for the purpose of benchmarking. With regard to liquidation of SAA, the court finalized the liquidation on 14th of September 2022. And then the actual liquidation, we're still waiting for the master court to call a meeting for the creditors, where a final liquidator will be appointed. With regard to unbundling of ESCOM into 3 entities, the due diligence for the establishment of the new holding company will be submitted to DP following board approval in February 2023. Model for SOC oversight. The SOC performance is monitored and evaluated on a quarterly basis, and PSEC work includes the development of broader government oversight model. And then with communication in SOC, in order to educate the public on the role of SOC, the department has reviewed the communication strategy in line with the public perception survey and amended in line with the amendment of the National Strategic Communication Framework. With regard to ensuring ESCOM achieves the public and commercial mandate, Alexco will be looking into various projects, including mariculture, renewable energy, and farming in an attempt to create jobs for the community. The progress by port and green energy project is expected to improve the socioeconomic output for Redfield community. Future role of the SEFCO, the SOC is expected to invest in capital projects to grow the revenue. In this case, the SOC will develop a 50-50 strategy. And as well as the land claim settlement process is still unresolved, the responsibility party is DLRD. In the interim, SAFCO is supporting claimant communities through the CSI and ESD business model. And then with the now restructuring process and addressing the issue of payment of staff, the NEO has developed a restructuring strategy, which has been approved by the executive authority, and the restructuring plan formed the basis of approaching the National Treasury for shareholder funding of 3.4 billion, which was allocated by a special appropriation. And all the outstanding salary payments were settled in August 2022. With regard to protecting jobs, in particular, advanced technical skills, to improve the management and leadership skill in generation and programs were revived and currently being offered to leaders at all levels. Prioritization of reauthorization of both artisan and operators to ensure plant management and is effective as operating and engineering standards, and we also partnered with ESCOM Academy to revive the artisan training. Restructuring of ESCOM, when will it be completed? Resolving the critical dependencies is critical to ensure the process is completed within a stipulated time. So the main issues addressing the critical dependencies. And then for ESCOM, updates on committees to maintain a program and plans. The regeneration recovery plan has been approved by the board following the consultation, and the progress will be provided to maintain and load shedding. Capacity core technical function, the generation has filled 1,335 critical positions through recruitment projects, and the generation is currently training 484 learners in the system. And then recruitment of additional 233 new learners will start in February 2023. Methods and manner in which the boards are appointed. The department in 2019-20 developed and implemented the board evaluation framework, and the board performance is reviewed and evaluated annually. With regard to financial management and control structures and processes, the department will ensure that quarterly reports provided required information in order to carry out the oversight function, and where improvements are required, this is raised with the SOC board. So that is all, Chair. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, DDG. Members, that is the presentation. Deputy Minister, do you want to say any last words before I give to the members?
No, Honorable Chair, I'm covered. I don't have anything to say now.
Okay. Thank you, DDG. Thank you, Deputy Minister. Honorable members, that is the presentation by the department, and as normally as I used to do, I will go to each and every member of the committee who is here to make his presentation or to contribute on the presentation. We'll start with the Honorable Kumede. You present here? Honorable Kumede.
Chair, I'm present.
Oh.
Did you get my response, Chair?
Yes, I hear that you are saying present. Therefore, I wanted to give you an opportunity to kickstart the engagement of the report. Honorable Kumede.
Yes, Chair. I thought perhaps you were going to call the list, but be that as it may, let me try and address.
Okay.
Good morning to everyone, and compliments to all other members, especially those that I have not seen. It's a tough period for us all. Let me start by, in fact, do my assignment as given by the chair. Reading the report, it appears that deferment, especially of submission of financial statements, is becoming a norm. How can we, for instance, avoid a similar situation in the future? You'll understand that we've got a program where DNL is behind, SAA is behind, and many requests have been forwarded to especially the committee and parliament to defer that those will be effected at a later stage. Chair, if I may ask, the National Enterprises Bill, it's very relevant, especially when it comes to operational efficiency of the SOEs. The time given, the worry firstly is we seem to be having too many of such bills in trying to enhance some of the operations. I'll be interested to know who will in fact be monitoring the operations, as well as, in a sense, is a good notion that the operational efficiency of all SOEs be monitored in a sense. Chair, the SOE shareholder management bill, it has a very good intentions. As much as it is late, the good intention, in fact, will be tested when, in fact, these things are being implemented in a sense. May I then recommend, Chair, that since the department is saying biannually, it will give us the report. May I further recommend that the department such biannual be done quarterly, so that biannually is given to us. Most probably, it will only be 2 with the committee, because when they do it quarterly, we will expect that after 6 months, they will then give us the report as to check the progress, as well as after 6 months as well, they will come back and report. So I just wish to make that kind of a recommendation. Chair, one appreciates the guideline on the guidelines on develop the guidelines on SEPs, the equity partner. Those are the ones that are worrying us. We have never really come to the consensus whether the equity partner is a right route to follow. There are many implications to it. Others want to interpret that as meaning the privatization. So, Chair, I think the guidelines will in fact help us in this respect. The unbundling of ESCOM. The unbundling of ESCOM, Chair, the concern has been raised. One, the whole unbundling process, there is a connotation or the interpretation that it may be construed as a process to privatization. However, the establishment of the new holding company has in fact calmed the suspicions, because if then it's given a company, it shows its independence. It will then mean that it's in fact private ESCOM is privatized. I'm not sure then whether the unbundling will help us reduce. Let me talk about reduce the debt that we are currently facing, Chair. There is a critical this thing, which one believes that is long overdue, is part of the recommendation that talks about the updating a committee on maintenance and program and plans. That one is long overdue. I will request that it be fast-tracked, Chair, if at least next week or any other foreseeable but earlier PC committee meeting, such programs and plans be given to us. The other one, Chair, is the Presidential Council. Yes, it's there. We thought the Presidential Council was going to have a role on the issues of ESCOM, but we have never, or we don't have any kind of comments, guidelines, or direction from the Presidential Council. So I just want to find out, Chair, what is its role in as far as ESCOM is in fact concerned. The presenter spoke about the procurement and contract management. I was interested to know how was it resolved, but according to what the presenter said, is that it did affect the audit opinion. My side is affecting the audit opinion was the tender awarded to the same person who was recommended. Did other contractors not appeal for the process if the process was in fact flawed? Chair, as a person, I hope the committee will support support me as well. The declaration of Eskom or electricity a national disaster, I strongly support the view, Chair. Perhaps for now, Chair, let me wait and allow other members then to make contribution. Thanks, Chair, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Kumede. I don't see Kachalia here. Let me go to Isaac.
Good morning, Chairperson, colleagues. Am I audible? Chair, can you hear me?
Yes, you're loud and clear.
Oh, great, fantastic. Good morning, colleagues on the meeting. Chairperson, Honorable Kachalia did apologize. He had a urgent medical appointment. I think Disang was informed, but I trust that his apology will be recorded. Chairperson, thank you again for the opportunity. It's very interesting having to listen, something that we've listened to before, and I'm sure you, Mr. Chair, Honorable Chairperson, together with other colleagues, have had sight of these kind of reports in the past. It has obviously been somewhat, I'll be brief in that, if you look at the slide 8 that was presented on the 5-year audit report trend, referring to the trend specifically, which was on slide 8. I mean, it is honestly a very sad and disappointing reflection in terms of the trend that we are experiencing over the 5-year period. I'd like to highlight that. Slide 9, of course, the famous Eskom, 20 billion rand of fruitless and wasteful expenditure. Now, we've discussed this before, and I'm sure we are going to still have many discussions around Eskom, but nevertheless, I'm glad that Honorable Kumede did raise the fact that he welcomes the state of disaster, which is obviously DA policy that has been pushed for the last 8 to 10 months about Eskom being declared a state of disaster. So yeah, thank you for coming on board, Honorable Kumede, and of course to other parties in government. Chairperson, SAFCO irregular expenditure. Now, how do you explain SAFCO that I believe was one of the SOCs that perhaps was doing better amongst all the other SOCs? How does one explain, an 800 million rand irregular expenditure? We need to interrogate this, because when they come to present to us as the portfolio committee, they have a good story to tell. And then the AG now reports 800 million rand of irregular expenditure. It's something we need to really flag and make a note of, because we need to raise these things in the portfolio. And I'm sure the Honorable Deputy Minister is obviously taking notes and recording these issues. Transnet, irregular expenditure of 1.1 billion rand. Again, a real, forgive me for using the term, but it's become a cancerous institution, if I can put it to you that way. And the South African public obviously does not get any value of Transnet. My favorite one, Alexco. Alexco is so, Honorable Minister, if you're listening, Deputy Minister, and colleagues, Alexco is a disaster. I mean, there's been a total letdown to the Richtersveld community in the Northern Cape. It's going nowhere. There's still so much of corruption within the institution of Alexco, the selling of diamonds at undervalued prices, etc. So again, we're going to be discussing Esco in not too shortly when they come to present. SAA, I'll just comment for now, is obviously remains shrouded in secrecy. I just don't know every other day there's something else to be read in the press about the SAA Takatsu deal, which we all know has right now also turned out to be a huge problem, because we know SAA is flying, they're in the sky, but they're running at a loss. So yeah, that's also a very sad state of affairs. Denel, 2 years now, no financial statements. Huge presentation that we had just before we went on recess in November, if I can recall, about how they're expanding and the fact that they're going to be procuring international contracts, etc. But for 2 years, we still haven't had any new financials. So, all these SOEs are permanently dependent on bailouts. And I think as mature individuals, we must and honestly be aware, Chairperson, that National Treasury is bleeding. And National Treasury, honestly, just cannot continuously afford these bailouts. I mean, we're sitting with an international issue right now, or a huge international headache, if I can put it to you that way, with Eskom. So National Treasury is obviously under huge pressure. Slide 19, I'll move towards concluding, Chairperson. Slide 19 pointed out very, very clearly the poor internal controls within the state-owned enterprises across the board. Now the question arises, why and for how long? For how long should South Africa have to contend with poor internal controls? I mean, surely we have to begin to employ fit for purpose individuals. Slide 20 went on to expand on the directed delinquencies. I mean, there might be charges being laid, there might be investigations, but while these things are going on, people are earning big, fat salaries and costing the South African taxpayer billions. So we need to find a way, Deputy Minister, around addressing the urgency of direct delinquencies. And of course, slide 23, referred to the BRRR reports. The question is, are these programs effective and progressive? Both of us, or all of us in this committee, can see from what is being presented by the AG, there doesn't seem to be any concrete effectiveness and progress here. And then finally, Chairperson, Honorable Gumede covered the issue of the financial statements. He also covered the issue on the SOE shareholder management bill, so I will not expand on that. The Eskom bundling, of course, it's a huge discussion, the Eskom bundling. I think, we will address that when obviously we have discussions with Eskom and next week in Parliament and going forward amongst us as a committee. So yes, Chairperson, thank you. That is my input for today. And Mr. Gumede, thank you for welcoming the DA's policy on declaring the Eskom as a state of disaster. Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Isaac. I don't also see Honorable Mawotwe. Honorable Komani.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good morning, members, honorable members, and as well welcome the presentation. Chair, Honorable Modo is not well. I hope she submitted her apology. So, Chair, when we listen to the department presenting and having taken note that the Auditor-General has eyed that the same DPE did not provide an adequate oversight to address the backlogs, particularly in forensic matters. It's very so painful, and there has never been timeless disciplinary procedures, and there are even when there are less and inadequate results, because you'd find that most of the people, they would be referred, or the cases would be hanging in for some time, as Honorable Isaac has said, and yet those people are still earning fat checks. But Chair, fair to say as well, I think I concur with Honorable Gumede on the issue of the report being presented biannually. I strongly believe that if the committee can be presented with the report quarterly, that would be equally fair for an timer's oversight. Chair, when one speaks about Alesco, it is said that they haven't submitted the audited financial statements. And then, Chair, we need to know from the department as to whether they can maybe take the committee into confidence as to when will such be submitted to the committee. And then still on Alesco, whether that external auditor have been approved, because the last time we checked, and in terms of the Auditor-General's report, the external auditor was not approved. And then, Chair, in Denel, we went to Denel, we went for an oversight where we're hoping they are now getting better. So maybe if the committee can indicate to the, the department can indicate to the committee as to whether the entity is now ready to submit the audited financial statements after it has its challenges and it has not submitted previously. And Chair, when one speaks about ESCOM, I don't know, because we've got a problem, because there are so many challenges, and we strongly believe that some of these challenges are man-made, particularly if you can look at ESCOM and look at the wasteful and irregular expenditures. And then, Chair, still there, maybe if the department can take us into confidence and put us abreast as to what has happened to the ESCOM employees, as per the report that said there were employees from ESCOM who were arrested. What is the status now? And what plans does the department together with ESCOM have to address the Auditor-General's findings? And then, Chair, we also hold a very, very strong view that this unbundling is in a way a method or go slow into privatizing the ESCOM. So, Chair, again, when one looks at almost all the entities, all of them has got wasteful and irregular expenditures. I would not repeat, Honorable Isaac has mentioned the amount there, but then one would then want to know how are these monies going to be recovered? What is it that is being done? What is the consequent management? And like I saw in the presentation, it is said that somewhere we're going to be referred to CIPRO by the 31st of March 2023. What would then be the effect of that? Is there nothing that can be done to recover this cost, Chair? And lastly, Chair, maybe if one can finally ask Uti, the committee in SAFCOL, there was like 800 million irregular expenditure. How is this addressed? And then like Honorable Isaac has said, SAFCOL, we never expected such from SAFCOL. Is there maybe, I don't know whether the oversight of the department in SAFCOL is minimal, or maybe if they can take us into confidence as to what is happening. However, Chair, we need to know how are we incurring irregular expenditures? What is an oversight on that? What is being done? What are the consequent management? And consequent management cannot only be referral or dismissals. There should be recoveries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Komani. I don't see Honorable Buthelezi, no Honorable Kwankwa. I only, if I looked here, Honorable I wonder if she's still okay. Honorable Malinga.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Greetings to all the members of the portfolio on the platform, the DM, the department, and all who are on call. I hope I am audible, Chair. I am load shared.
You are audible and clear.
Okay. Apologies, Chair. I think I must start there. Apologies for logging in late. I just with this load shedding, we even forget to check our emails, and so when I checked my email today, I realized that we had a portfolio committee. Nonetheless, Chairperson, I did not hear the presentations, but I have been with this PC for quite some time now, so I will fumble and mumble around in asking the questions. Chairperson, Isaac must not beat up his chest that Gumede, as the member of the ANC, is agreeing to the DA stance. Everybody in the country is saying ESCOM is a disaster. It's not that we agree to what the DA is saying, but all of us, even the community of South Africa. Chairperson, I am logged in just now. I've seen something to the effect that Transnet intends to give away its keys. Maybe the department, through maybe the DM, maybe they have explained the headlines that we are seeing, that Transnet intends to hand over its keys and its employees for the Durban to Joburg line for 20 years. It's like they are outsourcing it. Maybe if we can get a clarity on that, how did they come to this conclusion, and was the stakeholder consulted, and are they agreeing with the stakeholder? Also, the employees, are they on board? Because these SOEs, we find out, Chair, like we did when we went to ESCOM last week, that the management does not consult employees. So maybe if I can be clarified on that one, Chair. Chairperson, in terms of ESCOM, I wonder why ESCOM has asked for the increase of 18.6 tariff from NERSA, whereas they cannot even supply sustainable electricity. What are the tariffs for? Because they are failing to supply sustainable electricity to the country, which leads to job losses, which leads to companies shutting down, which leads to people who are studying online unable to study online, which leads to everybody's life being turned upside down. Chairperson, also on the issue of Alexco has not submitted its financial statements. Why is that the case? Because Alexco has so many challenges with the JSV and everything. Why? Because I think audit process is very important, Chairperson. Why haven't they submitted, or the external auditor, or the external auditor to assess the statements of Alexco, Chairperson? The issue of SAA, I'm not sure, maybe I missed that portfolio when it was explained. What is happening exactly at SAA? We hear people saying that the airline was sold for 51 rand. Maybe it was explained, Chairperson, pardon me, for 51 rand. But the last time I checked, it was all over the news. The person that was supposed to be a CEO has resigned. And we are struggling with flights. What is really happening with SAA? Also, Chairperson, has SAA finally submitted their audited financial statements to this portfolio committee? Let me stop there for now, Chairperson, while I still go through my notes. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Malinga. I've been trying to scroll down, honorable members. I don't see any. If there is a member that logged in and want to speak and I didn't notice, could she or he indicate? Because I'm about to give back to the department now. I don't see members here. I think I've exhausted the list. Let's go back to the DDG. DDG?
Thank you, Chair. I don't know if the Deputy Minister wants to say something before I start responding.
No, let me say something first. Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much to the honourable members. And I have to say that the concerns and the anxiety that is contained in the honourable members' questions is understood in the context that some of the things are really not expected. If I can just speak on the issue of the deferment or late submissions of annual financial statements. It is one of the things that we are trying very hard that it should not take place. At a point, though, the explanation that we get, particularly from these entities via their boards, is that they ought to always satisfy themselves that the entity remains a going concern, in the sense that looking forward, there is some certainty or guarantee that there is enough by way of cash flow to sustain the entity for at least a period up to 12 months and beyond. And sometimes, given the financial difficulties they have got into, in this case, particularly Alexco, this becomes an unavoidable thing. I think we've had it as well with Denel. There would be a toing and froing between the shareholder, the treasury, to satisfy that, to look at various angles to ensure sustainability of these entities going forward. So it's been one of the issues. Denel, until there was a bit of certainty brought in the decision that government took ultimately to recapitalize the entity, to the extent I am aware that they are working now to ensure that going back, they are able to ensure compliance in the submission of the financial statements. Regarding Alexco, I am also aware that the board had met recently, and they have finalized the financial statements that an AGM is being proposed not so far from now, in which case they will be up to speed, up to date with the financial statements. But again, without trying to make any justice to this justification, it is something that is not expected, because there ought to be certainty throughout. If I can comment to, again, Honorable Gumede, this was his first comment, as well as I think the proposal that there be a bit more frequent updating and briefing on the SOE shareholder management bill. I don't think there would be any objection to that. It's a suggestion I would put to the department to look further, so as to try and come closer to this quarterly updating on progress in that regard. The question of the SOE Council, which is housed at the presidency, I think we may want to, at a relevant level, I remember there was a lot of discussion in respect of how to ensure oversight over the workings of some of the areas under the presidency. I think I seem to think there was a resolution of the of the House as to how such oversight is to be effected, in which case I think the issue of the functioning progress in respect of the SOC Council may be retrieved via that channel. In respect to unbundling, the line of sight from overall is that these the unbundling should lead to the three entities responsible for generation, transmission, distribution, residing underneath a holding company. That is Eskom Holdings. It is said that that's the parent company from which there will be these subsidiary companies. Again, there is no stated intention to hive off any of these from the state, except that from time to time that there would be the invitation of a private sector participation, whose effect is within certain restrictions, still though an aspect of hiving off an element of this to the private sector. But again, it's something that we must look at, and of course, the balance to be kept between the ownership of this residing within the state. The issue about SAFCOL, I think Honorable Esak and a few other honorable members spoke to. I was just equally shocked with it. An entity like SAFCOL to have an irregular expenditure of that extent, I have had to ask as we are proceeding as to what really is obtaining. Yes, what hasn't happened? This is a cumulative figure that is running over a number of years, the last 3 years in particular. The last year, the recorded irregular expenditure was to the tune of 60 million, which added to a balance that was there to give us the 800 million. What is not taking place is processing and condoning these irregular expenditures. And of course, condonement should follow a process in which a thorough investigation and measures taken, that is the disciplinary measures taken on those individuals, having been exhausted, and then the other entities that come into play in condoning such irregular expenditure come to place. So we will take this back to the entity as a serious performance area that needs clearing. Firstly, it's just inexplicable now why for the last 3 years there has not been condoning or acting on irregular expenditure such that it would be possible to condone it. I fully take it. It's a matter that we will take back, particularly with SAFCOL. It is true that SAFCOL has been doing fairly well in terms of shaping up to be able to deal with proper governance and etc. This is an area that perhaps is out of step with what we have known with them in the recent period. It's a matter that we will follow up. Chair, maybe I should pause here and come back. There are quite a number of other questions that the honorable members have rightly raised, some of which are matters that are topical, like Honorable Komani is raising a matter that we were just alarmed at what we read in the papers in respect of Transnet's recent indication that some staff in Durban, we've asked for a thorough explanation for that. What we know from a policy outlook position is that Transnet has been saying for some of the branch lines, which are critical to support certain sectors in terms of economic activity, where there doesn't appear enough capacity to invest appropriately in such, there could be an invitation of the private sector to participate in the upkeep of such branch lines. To the extent this sounded to be out of touch with that, in the sense it has become so huge, even the question of staff being seconded to such, it is something we have asked for an explanation. I am happy for us to come back to the committee with what is actually taking place, having had a meeting with Transnet in that regard. Maybe let me pause there, Chair. Allow the acting CFO as well as the DDG to comment on the other matters for which there are very specific questions that have been put. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DDG.
Yeah, and thank you very much for that. Let's see which others have not been answered. I think the one on the procurement finding relating to the audit opinion, yes, this appointment resulted in choosing the wrong person because the wrong evaluation criteria was used for that selection. So in the end, the person that was selected was not the person that should have been selected. And then there was another one on I think on the guideline for SOC. I think it was just a comment to say yes, it's welcome. The guideline will for appointment or are we going to monitor strategic equity partners coming into the fold for SOCs. The guideline will be used once a decision has been made to sell some of the shareholding of government to the SCP. So it will then guide on how the department will then carry out oversight in a situation where it is a minority shareholding. For example, where SAA, the government will sell 51% shareholding in SAA and will hold 49%. At the moment, there's no framework in which to carry out that monitoring. So this guideline will then give us the tools to use for monitoring on providing oversight over the SOC where we have a minority shareholding. Let's see which other question was not was raised. Let's see. The DG, I mean, the Deputy Minister did cover the reason why some of the SOCs have not submitted annual financial statements. As we recorded in the presentation, they mainly relates to going concern. For example, Dineo did not have funding prior to getting the 3.4 billion funding from government. So therefore, it couldn't finalize the financial statements on a going concern basis. So that was the cause of the delay in finalizing those annual financial statements. Whereas with Alexco, it's just the question of appointing the auditor. So once the auditor has been appointed in agreement with the Auditor-General, then the audit should then commence. And then with SAA, we are aware that it was in business rescue, so it couldn't do the audit of the annual financial statements during that period. However, the intention is now to finish all the annual financial statements audit for the last 4 years by 31st of March 2023. What other questions was raised? I think those are the questions. I don't know if I've left out anything.
Yes, Chair, I may just add that there was also a question on on Eskom and the application Eskom made and the issue of the 18% that NERSA gave to Eskom by way of an increase in tariffs. I think again that matter is happening within the dispensation applicable where NERSA as the regulator would serve as the place to which applications are made. In this instance, Eskom had made an application for 32%, which according to them is a tariff, is a cost-related tariff. That is the cost of producing and providing electricity would have required of them to ask what they did. It's a matter that given the challenge that is confronting the country right now, the persistent lack of energy availability for households and firms has prompted the president to make a pronouncement to the effect that the board at Eskom is being persuaded to stay the implementation of that, a matter that is occasioned by the sensitivity that is attached to the fact that it does appear odd that when people are struggling with energy access, the very same access is being hiked to the extent it is. So it's a matter that it's being engaged, looked at along the same wavelength where the effort is to secure better availability of energy, the improvements that are necessary at Eskom. I've heard Honorable Esak comment to the effect that it is DA policy, the declaration of disaster at Eskom. I only understand that government has a framework, a legislation that all approved by our parliament as to what circumstances would have been in existence before a disaster is declared. In this instance, there is a number of voices that are of the same mind that the magnitude of the problems at Eskom do require that. If it is DA policy, then that's the policy of the country, I assume, because it's derived from the Disaster Management Act, which is a policy that the government as led by the ANC instituted, and of course it was accented to by Parliament. I think we leave aside the semantics. The matter is serious, that it has to be attended. And to that effect, I know that the ruling party is of the mind that Honorable Gumede has stated in his earlier statement that he would wish that the committee is agreeable to that. I take it that perhaps even the DA does support that view from what I've heard. That's all by way of addition, Chair. Some of these, because we were coming on the reports of the annual, the audit reports, the financial statements, some of them really are in the domain of the matters that are ongoing, which are matters that require the oversight going forward to be seized with. We will come back to update information in that regard. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you so much, Deputy Minister. Honorable members, is there any follow-up question? Since we still have a few minutes.
My hand is up.
Honorable Malinga's hand is up. Who else? Okay, that's only Honorable Malinga. Honorable Malinga, come in.
Thank you again, Chairperson. Thank you, DM, for the responses. Actually, Chairperson is not a follow-up. I did indicate that I just logged in. I'm still going through my notes. I request to be given an opportunity again. Chairperson, I want to direct my questions to the department. How do they feel? Or how do I put this? That all the SOCs under them are not doing well. I'm not sure, Chairperson, you will pardon me again, as I did indicate that maybe they had presented the turnaround strategies or the plans for the SOEs to make them function or to make them what they were initially created for. How do they wake up every morning, go to work, and with all the SOCs that are so dysfunctional? Have they ever presented a plan to this PC chair, or is there a plan that maybe they can turn around 1 or 2 SOC before they actually saying to them by the end of the financial year will be just an insult to them, or over what do you call this, overconfident that something might happen? Chairperson, I'm asking this because they themselves, out of the 34 audit findings, they only have addressed 22. When are they going to address the rest of the audit findings that were picked up by the AGSA? If maybe, Chairperson, I could be clarified on that one. The only SOC that we thought was functioning, actually, when we came in, I think it was 2019, 2020, 21, it was Transnet. Transnet was doing well. Then it was Subcon. Now all the SOCs are not functioning. Maybe if I could be clarified, Chairperson, maybe I will understand what is the problem with these SOCs. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Malinga. DPE.
Thank you, Chair. No, thank you, Chair. I think also the delegation we are today is somewhat a little weakened in that it's not often the regulars. Some of the questions I have a sense too that actually the minister in should actually be present to respond to some of these. I will, with my limited reach on these, speak. It is indeed true that Transnet has been showing very positively until recently. There has been challenges at Transnet, which there is a strategy in place to try and get around those matters. It also involves some key critical investments that need to be made in some of the ports, improving the operations there too. There is a plan in that respect. Insofar as broadly, if I can just comment on all the state-owned companies, one of the critical things which until some time it really got collapsed was effective governance within this. That is starting with the boards, ensuring that there is a proper management in place, and then a proper handle over the operations as well as the finances. This is the overall frame that we sought to have in place for all these. And it is what is in operation, in progress as we speak. That is why you are going to, within each of these entities, you'll find there is an element or all these elements together, all aimed at achieving, getting those entities in a good position, both functionally and financially. We may speak of what lessons have been drawn, what setbacks are being experienced, as it would have happened. For instance, I think Honorable Malinga had asked, what is happening? What has happened with SAA? I think maybe we should have a time in the committee to talk about the what has happened at SAA from the time of the business rescue until there was that they got out of business rescue, and the operation that we have at present, which is not really up to the scale at which SAA used to be at the time. But it's a matter that I think we should come back to and be engaged, grilled on it, and also to have some of the issues that are to do with the strategic equity partners, what's been the process, etc. These are matters that I think need to be dealt with exhaustively. SAFCOL, in spite of what has been said, yes, the other challenges to me have to do with ensuring some of the investments do take place so that we catapult that entity to a higher level. But in all fairness, it is a very stable kind of entity with all the challenges. I think in this instance, what we were talking to was an aspect of the audit findings, which is irregular expenditure, which hasn't been dealt with. That to me would not amount to the whole entity said to be dysfunctional. It is not. Denel is, from what has happened, the interventions so made, one is fairly confident that we're going to see the Denel getting out of the woods, even though on a limited basis initially, not the wider scale in terms of its footprint that it's been able to reach in terms of products that they were making. But certainly the operational capacity, which had all but fallen to the ground, has now been augmented. My recent report has been to the effect that they're working very close with the Treasury to ensure that the funds that have been dedicated in the last budget allocation are actually being made available to them in keeping with the terms and conditions that were attached thereto. But I would rather we have Minister Pravin Gordhan present to respond to some of the questions that have been asked. I'm just doing my little bit in that regard. If they can add Edwin and Ms. Naidu, I'm sure you might want to add something to this. Thank you.
Yes, no, thank you very much, DM. Yes, there is some turnaround that is going on with some of the SOCs. For example, SAA is now starting to generate profits. In the performance in the last quarter, they generate some profits. So looking at where they're coming from, I think that they are pointing in the right direction. And it's just that, as the DM pointed out, the operations is not at the scale which it should have been. At the moment, they only have 6 aircraft, but the intention is to ramp up so that they can then take advantage of the available capacity that is required in the market. So we're beginning to see some green shoots, and we should be able to see progress coming through very soon. In terms of the audit findings for the department, yes, you are right. By the third quarter, we only addressed 22 out of 33. So we left as a department to deal with 11 findings, which we are working through. And by the end of the year, we should have addressed all the findings that were raised by the auditor. I think that we should, there will be no repeat finding. So I think that we're on the right track. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else who want to respond from the TPE? Okay.
Hello, Chairperson.
No. Hold on.
Chairperson, my hand has been raised. I just had a quick question to the Deputy Minister. if you'd allow me, I just wanted to check through you. What does the Deputy Minister think?
I didn't recognize you. It's
Okay.
not like that. We don't work like that. This
Okay.
is a parliamentary session. You can't just speak without.
I did raise my hand, Chairperson.
No, I saw when your hand come in.
Okay.
I allowed the hands to come in, and then I invited hands, and the only hand that came out is Honorable Malinga's hand. I again asked, and then there was no hand up until I gave Honorable Malinga an opportunity to speak. And now the department responded, including the Deputy Minister, to Malinga's questions. Now, I'm not going to allow provocations. If one feel provoked, and then anytime, just because we'll end up responding to provocations until I cannot allow a meeting of that nature. I can't even chair a meeting of that nature. I allow
respect that. I respect that, Chairperson. I respect what you're saying. There is no provocation. I just wanted to ask through you a simple one-liner question to the Deputy Minister. But if you do not want to allow me, I must respect that. No issue, sir.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Honorable members, that is the end of our meeting with the Department of Public Enterprises. I want to thank the department. They can leave us so that we can continue with the second part in our agenda. Can the department leave if they can, so that we finalize the last point in our agenda pertaining the program?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, honorable members, the issue in our agenda, which I will ask the Secretary to quickly present, is about the first term program, or it's already put there. Can you go through, Tsang?
Okay, thank you very much, Chairperson. The program as it is, basically it started with an oversight visit to Megawatt Park last week, which was an oversight visit that was incomplete, and a follow-up meeting has been scheduled for the 7th of February at 2 o'clock in Parliament, which is going to be a joint meeting with the Portfolio Committee on Minerals and Energy and the Select Committee on Public Enterprises and Communications. And then on the 8th of February, we've got briefing by Transnet on an update on the overall business of Transnet, including the socio-economic contributions in terms of job creation, skills development, the promotion.
Chairperson, I'm sorry, Chairperson, I'm so sorry, I apologize. Disang mentioned Tuesday, 27 February, 2 o'clock. The program I received says 9 till 1. Is it changed? I just want to correct that. Thank you, I apologize, Chair. The meeting on Tuesday, the 7th of February with ESCOM. The program says 9 till 1. Disang mentioned 2 o'clock. I just want to check the time so we can get the diary right. I apologize, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, apologies for that. By the time I sent you the draft program, we were still trying to negotiate which time would suit both the committees and the entity itself, ESCOM. And the time that has been agreed upon is 2 o'clock on the 7th of February, which is next week, Tuesday at 2 o'clock in Parliament. That's when we will be having the meeting with ESCOM. So that is a change, Mr. Ak. And then on the 8th of February, which is the thing. Also, the committee must advise here, because this is the day before the State of the Nation address, which the committee must decide whether they are gonna still have this meeting. Because sometimes the meetings of this nature on the day before the State of the Nation address sometimes become unsuccessful or members don't attend. So it would be the briefing by Transnet on an update on the overall business, including their socio-economic contributions. And then on the 15th of February, it's a briefing by ESCOM on their annual report and financial statements, which is they were only tabled in the beginning of this month on the 15th of January. We couldn't deal with them last year. On the 22nd of February, it's the briefing by the Department of Public Enterprises on issues emanating from the State of the Nation address and interrelated issues relating from policy developments. So that meeting will also include any other issues that the members would feel that the department must come back to address. And then on the 1st of March, it would be the business rescue practitioners of Mango on progress regarding the business rescue process, because last year the committee did invite, I think, the business rescue practitioners, but they never actually got a briefing from the practitioners themselves. So we thought that it was important that the committee must engage the business rescue practitioners of Mango to find out how far are they with this particular process. And then on the 8th of March, the Daniel annual report and the financial statements for 21-22. We were hoping by that time they would have tabled. As it stands today, they haven't tabled yet, but we will adjust the program as and when this we get updates from the department. And then SAFCOL, a briefing on SAFCOL and an update on their overall business, including also their socio-economic contributions for job creation, skills development, promotion and support of small and medium enterprises. And then on the 22nd of March, SAA, we also said that they must also come with an update on their business and how the delay of the strategic equity partnership is affecting their business, especially financially, and how this will impact on the business overall. And then the last week there's been set up for oversight. So we had identified South Korea. And then in November last year, we wrote to the embassy of South Korea to request permission to visit that particular country through the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. And then since then, we have been making follow-up, but they have not been forthcoming in terms of a response. And then we have later learned that the department, the Committee on Trade and Industry is also visiting South Korea on the same period in March. And we have been communicating with DERCO, but they are also frustrated with the embassies, that the embassies are not responding to some of the letters that we are sending to them. So that has been the reason why there's been a delay in relation to our study tour to South Korea. I had since asked the researcher to identify other countries that he feels that will be relevant to the committee, so that the committee can, instead of going to South Korea, must look at another country, because we have not received any responses from that particular embassy that we had actually returned to. And it's been almost like 3 months since November. It ends there, Chairperson.
Thank you, Secretary. Honorable members, can we look at this and respond? I am also on the view that, though I think we cannot take that decision alone here, in relation to next week is the 7th meeting, because it's supposed to be a joint session with the Department of Minerals and Energy and the Select Committee on Public Enterprise and Communication. Therefore, we cannot, as this committee, took that decision. I will suggest that I interact with other chairs to take that decision. I also do consider that having that meeting just a day before or 2 days before the State of the Nation's address could be a bit controversial or problematic. But I suggest that let's just look all other things and then on that one engage other committee members. I don't know whether the members of the committee are comfortable with that proposal. Honorable members, I'm looking, okay. Malinga's hand is here, is now, or is a legal hand?
Oh, it's a new hand, Chair.
Come in.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I'm not sure what will be controversial about this meeting, because this meeting was proposed when we were at Megawatt, if you remember correctly, after the GCEO left the meeting, and we found out that also the COO was not there and the board was not completely there. That's what we said in that meeting, all the three committees that were there. I think, Chairperson, we don't want to be seen as dilly-dallying on this matter, load shedding. You see, Mina, as I talk to you now, I am on stage 5, and Mina, my stage 5 in my area, it goes from 4 hours to 8 hours, because there's also load reduction from the municipality. So you can imagine, Minanje, I would want to hear what is happening at ESCOM. I for one, but anyway, I wanted to remind the chair that this was agreed at Megawatt, Chair. Thank you very much.
Okay. Honorable Kumed, I see Piri now all of a sudden. Honorable Kumed?
No, Chair, I think it will be fair that as much as what Honorable Malinga is saying, but it will be fair on your side to try and interact with the committee, so that at least, because if we agree or for some reasons they don't, then it will be a clash. So as much as I concur with what Honorable Malinga is saying, but you be afforded as well an opportunity that you interact with them. We will only see from the implementation of a program that no, it's clashing, or yes, they have confirmed. We are not taking out the meeting on the 7th. The meeting, we wish that it goes forward, interact with them. If they agree, we proceed. If there are conflicting ideas, then we'll be updated, Chair. Otherwise, I support the view.
Okay, Honorable Komani.
Thank you once more, Chair. Chairperson, I may be echoing the sentiment of Honorable Malinga, given the seriousness and the urgency of this matter. Can we, when engaging, because I think it is only fair for us to allow you to engage, but when engaging, look at, can we please look at the fact that that meeting should sit, whether be it in Parliament or I don't know, but it should be a physical meeting, but it should sit, because it is very imperative. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, I don't know what is the discussion here, because we are not saying the meeting must be postponed, but we need to engage all other members so that they are of this, who are participating in this from other committees. I was just thinking that we need to engage all other members, because the state is imposed by us at this level. We still have to engage all of other members in relation to this state. We don't find a situation where some members will not be able this. Honorable members, if honorable members are comfortable with the rest of the program, can we step down there?
Chair, I've raised my hand.
On what exactly?
Chair, you are on the item. I think if I'm given an opportunity to speak on the same item that you requested members to raise hands, unfortunately, it kicked me out, but I came back quickly. Can I proceed, Chair?
Proceed.
Okay. Thanks, Chair. And I want to also reiterate the fact that last week I told you and Disang I'm on oversight, but immediately when I saw some messages, I logged in, I requested to be excused. But Chair, I think what you have just said, Nina, no, Disang said it very nicely when Isaac got in to say in the first program, the time was 9, and Disang explained thoroughly to say, yes, it was 9, but now it's 2 o'clock because the other 2 committees, which is your select and minerals, they've said they are suitable at 2, meaning, Chair, while you are engaging them, Bona as administrators, they've agreed with the Disang to say our people are suitable at 2. That's the reason why they've changed from 9 to 2. It means it means they've agreed, but it needs yourself, yes, we are agreeing as politicians to go and agree as well. But I think the program is it's proper. Secondly, what was raised by Disang again is to say the meeting, I don't think in most of the cases or experience, it does not materialize. It's not the meeting of the 7th, but the meetings of a day before, where Disang is scheduled us only, not a joint. So I think there's a small confusion. Disang is referring to a joint, the meeting of the 8th, not the meeting of the 7th, to say, members, can you guide us? Because in most cases on the meeting of the 8th, on Wednesday, the day before, so now members are preparing themselves to go on the red carpets and all the stuff. We have a challenge of members not attending. So I think, Chair, on that one, I want to propose to say, if it's not something that is burning, allow us to make a recommendation to say, can you move the meeting of the 8th to another day and squeeze it somewhere? Because indeed, on the 8th, you might find as women who want to do our hair, we've got other errands that we want to run. So I'm rising on that fact. Thanks, Chair.
Chairperson, if I may come in.
The most helpful person. I think you helped me a lot.
Sure.
I'm coming to you. My input was based on the joint being on the 8th. Yeah, I think you helped me there, Honorable Piri. I'm sorry to suppress you. I was suppressing you thinking that yeah, the meeting is on the it's on the 8th, which is the joint. Now that you came in, you help us. I don't think there is anything to make in relation to the 2. Honorable Isaac.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. No, I just wanted to add regarding the meeting of the 8th, and thought I'd just mention, for the sake of transparency, that the Democratic Alliance, we have scheduled a caucus meeting at 10 a.m. on the 8th. So unfortunately, I don't think myself and Honorable Kachalia will also be available on Wednesday, the 8th. So, you know, I just thought I'd add that maybe it will not be best suited or most practical to have the meeting on the 8th. That's just my comments. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable. I think Honorable Piri has assisted. The meeting that might be shifted due to everything is the meeting on the 8th, Honorable Members, because yeah, there's a lot of I didn't notice that it's the one which is the briefing by Transnet. I think we can take it to another day. If Honorable Members are comfortable with every other thing, then can we close the meeting in that context? Honorable Members.
Program, Chair.
But Chair,
Come again, Madinga?
But Wednesday is the standing day for the committee.
Yeah. Part of Wednesday is
so
that
DA can then decide to take Wednesday as their caucus day.
well, leave the DA as a party. I don't think that is supposed to be the only contributing factor for us shifting. The only another contributing factor is that members will be preparing themselves for the sauna on that day, particularly comrade to women. There's a lot of things they do before the day.
Can we adopt the program as presented before closing
Chair,
the meeting?
that's what I requested as a woman. I'll be wanting to do my hair. I'll be wanting to make some touch up. I'm pleading. I'm not referring to say other reasons, but as a woman, can I be considered to say I want to look beautiful? Maybe I might get a target there. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, I'll leave the target.
No. Chairperson, so what is the consensus on the meeting of Tuesday, the 7th of February? Sorry for butting in. Is it postponed or are we still going to confirm? The one with ESCOM.
Still, the one according to the song stands still. The only meeting that is the point of engagement, which Honorable Piri helped the meeting with, is the meeting of the 8th honorable members.
Well, Chair, you can tell Honorable Piri that I am a moving target.
I don't know.
Too old.
Yeah.
Again, the honorable members on the proposal by Honorable Piri.
I second the proposal, Chair.
And then the program. Come again. Is the program
Chair,
is.
Chairperson, I want to adopt the program with the amendments. Chairperson, thank you very much.
Yeah, there is a third person supporting it. Then, honorable members, that is the end of our meeting. Thank you so much. The meeting is adjourned.
Long live the chair.